Hello, everybody, and welcome to Golden Opportunities. I'm your host, James Donnelly, founder and CEO of Safe Haven Insurance, your Medicare safe place. This is our second shoot in this new studio, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the new brand. I'm loving the new logo. I'm loving the new producer. It's really a great setup, and I'm so happy to rebrand and bring information out to the community, because that's what this is all about. It's just a resource for seniors and anybody aging and caretakers. I'm here with an amazing guest today, Laura Lafauci. Laura, say hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, James.
So Laura has many hats. She really is a machine. She's nonstop. And I met Laura about a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah, about that.
I met her at Center Light.
Yes.
We have a mutual friend, Kathy Casal. I met Kathy in a networking group, and she invited me to the NAIPC, which I never heard of.
And we were so thankful to have you walk through our doors. I've been the chair of the National Aging in Place Council for 10 years now and been a part of the board for 14. And each year I say to everyone, would anyone like to step up and take on a chair position? And crickets. And James came in, and there's been a few people over the years that we thought about, possibly it might be a good fit, and said, no, it really wouldn't be a good transition. And just so excited to have you on board, and somebody who thinks altruistically and that really just wants to help, that wants to be a part of the organization and take the reins. So
well,
thank you.
Like I said, I didn't even know what the NAIPC was, National Aging in Place Council. And I feel like everybody has a story. Everybody, does what they do for a reason. And, when my grandmother fell and broke her hip and was in a skilled nursing facility and, got COVID and someone switched to Medicare plan, and then I had to kind of figure out what Medicare was. And that led me to my Medicare journey. Then it was, durable medical equipment, a hospital bed. It was the commode, navigating the healthcare system to get these resources that we're entitled to. Then it was Medicaid, and then in-home care, and then it's just been a journey. And I had no idea that there was a resource available like the NAIPC.
Right.
And it really just kind of sparked a fire, in my soul. And then when you had asked that, I was like, I knew nothing about what it took to lead this amazing organization. I really didn't, and I just felt like I had to volunteer, because I just thought that everybody needs to know what the NAIPC is. So how did you get involved with the NAIPC?
So I got into this world very much the same as you did. Mm-hmm. I was an interior designer working in a furniture showroom, and my boss's mom worked with us. We became very close, and she started to exhibit dementia symptoms. Okay. And at that time, just talking to her sons and trying to see how we can get her help, I was doing breakfast and lunch and dinner, and lunch was becoming harder, and looked for how do I bridge the gap and get somebody to go in for lunch. I found this home care company that said, peace of mind visit. I'm like, that's exactly what I need, a peace of mind visit. So contacting them, the gentleman who owned the company said, well, I can't help you, but maybe you can help me. I just bought a franchise. I know nothing about the senior care industry. Can you come and talk to me? And 2 hours into the conversation, I had a new job, a new career path, and got into the senior living world. So learned about the Medicare, the Medicaid through my mother-in-law, and then later my grandfather as a caregiver. So I found the National Aging in Place Council. At that time, it was 7 people in the Farmingdale Diner.
Okay.
And the gentleman who were running it was, there was a national mortgage corp of some kind, the Bells, and they were brothers, and they got involved, and there was a realtor, a couple of other people. And they decided to make it a national organization, and they moved to Maryland, and we became the first Long Island chapter. So
So it actually started on Long Island.
yes, it did.
Wow.
It did.
Okay.
So they moved to Maryland, and in Maryland, they ran it from there. They had a really great staff. Things started to grow. They picked up more chapters. I became a national board member, so I went to Maryland for their meetings and was a member there as well as a member here. And then I became the chair. It's just 10 years ago now. And I've had a few co-chairs in that time and stayed on. And it's just been a wonderful experience to be able to not only help. So for those that don't know, I don't think we really truly said what the National Aging in Place
We were going to get into that. I just kind of want, yeah. But that's interesting because I had no idea you've been on from like really the very beginning.
Very beginning.
So 2006?
I know it's been 15 years, so I'm
Okay.
terrible, but something
So maybe
like that.
a little, because on the website it says it was founded in 2006. So that was 18 years ago. So I'm assuming maybe they were meeting a couple of meetings in the
Meetings,
diner.
yeah.
Before you found them. Okay.
Yes, definitely, I'm sure. So, but when I arrived, there were 7 people
Okay.
sitting around a diner
And that
table.
was the Aging in Place, National Aging in Place.
Yes, yes.
Wow. How has it's evolved?
It's evolved. We had 100 members at one point before COVID. We had gotten down, 80. Now we're midway. We're building back up again. We had lost a lot of membership, and COVID really was not the greatest time for National Aging in Place because networking wasn't where everyone was at. And we're not a networking group, we're a resource group, but pooling together to understand what everybody needs and how we all work together, and being there as a resource not only for the seniors that we're serving, but for each other is really, it's a not-for-profit, the National Aging in Place Council, 501c3 and 501c6. And we help seniors and their families with guidance, education, and advocacy throughout Long Island.
And it's not just aging in your home, really. It's aging anywhere you choose, which is very unique. And a lot of people think it's aging at home, but it's aging wherever you choose.
Your chosen environment where you can thrive.
Where you could thrive.
That's it.
And that was my grandmother. She was in a skilled nursing facility. She begged us to get her home. She was really psychotic. And we said, you know what, she's not doing well here. She's not thriving here. We need to get her home. We need to rehab her at home. Was it the right choice? I don't know. Mentally, for my grandmother, it was the right choice. Physically, I don't think it was the right choice. So it was, but without the mental capacity to thrive in the skilled nursing facility, she would have never done well.
Right.
So we had to get her home mentally. And she thrived mentally at home, but not physically, because you have limited resources when you're home. Physical therapy comes twice a week. It's not every
it's not
day.
the same.
It's, and then you have to rely on, the family. So there's a lot of things that I learned through that journey, and that brought me to the National Aging in Place Council, which it's a resource. It's a resource for seniors, for really anything, any questions, anything that they need to transition in their home, if they wanted to find a community to live in, if they needed an elder care attorney, in-home care, right? Some other things, mortgages, if they needed to figure out financing, even financial advisors.
Yes.
A lot of times one spouse passes away, the other spouse is left all of a sudden responsible for all the financial needs and day-to-day transactions, and they've never done that. I mean, I knew my grandfather, he had the checkbook.
Right.
My grandmother, she didn't know how to manage money, and that was part of her downfall is, she didn't know how to manage money.
Right.
And that's what it's about. It's a resource for seniors and their families and caregivers.
Absolutely. To be able to navigate, there are so many services out there that people don't even know exist. We were talking to that woman just the other day and today again, where, what do you mean there's somebody who can help me with my Medicare? Someone can do that? Or what do I do about, if I want to go to a group home for this person who needs that? Oh, they have those? There's people who can get Medicaid and go into assisted living. they're shocked when they hear all of the options.
When I saw that email, Laura, I was like, "Ooh, wow, we're gonna check off all of these
lot of
boxes."
layers here,
But
a
that
lot
was
of
great.
layers.
She sent a beautifully written, detailed email, and you just kind of checked off the box. You were like, "All right, so and so's going to handle this. I'm going to handle this. So and so's going to handle this." We had resources in California where her family
Yes.
member was, so she was going to handle that. That was checked off, and it was amazing that we were able to answer all of her 27 questions. I'm exaggerating.
Yes.
I don't know if they were so close to
it.
and we were able to actually give her a resource for all 27 and answer 27 of her questions. And when I spoke to her earlier today, she was just like, I was the last piece of the puzzle, and she was just like, I feel so relieved, and now I know I have answers to all of my questions. You're not Googling it. You're not stressing out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you Google things, there's a lot of misinformation.
You go down rabbit holes and you're lost and wrong information.
But what happens on Google is the first 10 searches, if you look, are all sponsored.
Right.
So those are all advertisers that are paying to be there when you ask a question like
Right.
that. So are you getting the right advice?
Right.
You're really not.
And being able to offer not just, okay, James, your point of view is great, but there's 2 other people who do what you do if you need another point of view. Or if you maybe, I always say to people, I'm giving you these 5 elder law attorneys who are all vetted and background checked as part of National Aging in Place, because that's a big thing that
That's
we do.
another thing. Yeah, we're going to get into that.
And
Yeah.
we're vetting nationally, we're vetting locally, and we have accountability because we're seeing each other twice every month. And if someone's not doing the right things, we're hearing about it really quickly.
Really quickly.
Really quickly.
Less than 24 hours. We're
Less
hearing
than
about.
24 hours, we will know. And there's a lot to that. You know, for me, it makes my heart feel good that I know if we're referring something out, maybe there's 5 attorneys and maybe there's only one whose personality fits yours. You're going to work with them closely. But we say, call them all. Find out what their prices are, what they're going to do for you, the personality. Do you like talking to the person? There's a lid for every pot. You'll find the right resource for you. But it's not doing a Google search of a million places that are not tried and true, that we don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it. We do know with our members, which is nice.
So I'm going to rewind because when I found the NAIPC, I was really grateful, not just for me but for my clients, because I work with seniors, and people call me all the time for a resource, and it was just so nice to be able to refer the NAIPC. But through the process, I attended 2 meetings, the holiday party, the holiday gathering, and then I submitted an application, and then I was like, oh wow, we have to do a background check. So I did the background check, but when I got my report, I was like, it was pages.
Oh, yeah.
And pages, and I was like, wow. It was like state by state, municipality by municipality, federal background check, and it was really detailed. I mean, nothing came up,
No,
but,
obviously.
but it was just so nice to see. And then it really resonated with me, and I said, wow, everybody that's a member, not just locally, but nationally, has been vetted. I mean, like, fine-tooth comb, like, down to the municipality, like, where they, every municipality, really, and it was, every state was broken down by county and the municipality in that background check, and I was like, wow, this is really detailed. And it was just it was like such a sigh of relief, not that I passed, but that everybody was vetted. Everybody
Right.
that I spoke to at meetings, everyone that I referred out was vetted, and you knew who was coming to Grandma's house.
Right.
Because you don't know. You don't know, like, we have an issue at Grandma's house now. We had to have a contractor come in, and I didn't know who it was. And then you're like, you kind of on like high alert. And then,
yeah.
I invited him to the NAIPC meeting, but just as a resource, because now you know, like, who's coming into Grandma's house, Mom's house, Dad's house.
Right.
And a lot of times, those family members are not local. They're in a different city, or in a different county, in a different state. And then they could use us as a resource to kind of say, hey, this is, these are 5 people that you can call to help with this situation.
Yeah.
And it's really invaluable. It really is.
And home care to me is a big one. I worked in home care for 10 years, and when you're looking
So interior
for
designer to home care, really. But I bet you feel more fulfilled every day that you go to work now, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've learned a lot over many years, and really on the job training of here, figure this out,
That's what it is.
and then you do. And to me, I find that that's the best way to learn, is to fumble your way through it. You may make some mistakes along the way, but you'll know what to avoid. You learn the system, you learn the new things, and there's constantly, the elder care world is consistently changing, minute to minute, day to day. So staying on top of it and being in the thick of it really helps you to know, how to roll with those punches and fix what's broken and be there to be that best resource and the premier resource that we are at National Aging in Place.
But we get to hear about those issues with our other members. We have meetings twice a month where we meet and we collaborate and we talk about changing issues and new policies, and because senior health care, Medicare, Medicaid, it's changing every single second, and it's just so nice to be on top of our game and just collaborate with with individuals who are at the top of their game in this industry.
Absolutely. And like you said, your grandmother was at home. I had my mother-in-law at home, and finding an aide in the house when it's a specific thing. I've had people that call me up and they say, I've been looking on Google for a month. I'm trying to find a male aide in this town with it. We can find that out in an hour, and they could take months on Google trying to find that out, where for us, it's an email to the key people in the industry of, do you have XYZ? And if they don't, they know who does, because they're in the thick of it, and we get an answer back within that day. It's amazing.
It is. And again, it's a nonprofit. We are a resource. And you tell a story, you told me a story a couple of months ago. There's a woman who had called the NAIPC about her water bill. It was something simple like a water bill, but she had no family, and she didn't know how to navigate the situation with her water bill. And Laura was there for her. Laura, tell the stories. What did you do?
Yeah, so I just called the water company for her, navigated, worked with them to see what we can do to set up a payment plan for her.
Because there was a past due balance and they were going to shut off her water, right? Is that what happened? Yeah.
Yep. So, it takes a lot for them to shut off a senior's water, but they were threatening it in the letter.
Which is scary.
So for her, it was terrifying. I'm not going to have water. So getting on the phone with her, speaking to her, and then speaking to the water company with her. I had to patch them both in at the same time and then make that work so that they can formulate a plan that she can afford and make sure that she has what she needs. And things like that happen often. It could be a little thing like that. We have daily money managers who have been in the group over the years. And that's not a financial advisor, but somebody who pays the bills, looks at the insurance stuff and says, you need to pay this, you don't need to pay this, or keep this, don't keep this. It's such a valuable service out there that most people don't even know exists. In-home podiatry, somebody to come in and dentist.
We had somebody reach out to us last week for an in-home dentist, and what was the second thing?
The dentist I was able to provide.
But there was two services he was looking for in home.
It might have been an eye doctor because, yes, that was another person for the eye doctor. We referred that as well. Mark Berlin had a great doctor. He's a patient advocate who's one of our members. I
interviewed Mark last week.
Yeah, so he had a good eye doctor. I had a great dentist who goes to the home. We have a member who's a podiatrist that goes to the home.
That's so great.
These are amazing things, especially if someone has foot issues. They may not be able to get up and walk and go to the
And how
podiatrist.
many seniors have, feet issues?
Diabetes, cellular. Yeah, it's just.
And even like an ingrown toenail that you could get infected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I know my grandmother, we have a podiatrist that comes every 6 weeks and just trims her toenail. You know what I'm saying? Just to, avoid those ingrown. It's silly, but it's so true.
But that little ingrown thing could cause such a big issue, especially if it becomes a wound or any type of pressure ulcers on the feet and heels. If they're not getting the podiatrist to come in, if they go into a rehab and want to go into assisted living or anything else with those unstageable wounds or heel wounds, pressure ulcers, it really affects quality of life, such a simple thing.
Yeah.
So
we are your unlimited resource, for seniors, their family, and caregivers. It's truly unbelievable. We're all volunteers. We don't get paid. We don't get a salary.
Right.
We have jobs. We have jobs. That's what we do. But our jobs, our careers, are all intertwined, with seniors and senior living and senior health care. And so our board is amazing. Our board is truly
have a
amazing.
great
I'm so
board.
blessed to have such a great board. And you volunteer. And when she was on that phone call with the senior with the water bill, that was on your own free time. That was whatever free
Yeah.
time you get. You're a mom. You're a wife. I mean, you have a career. You volunteer with the NAIPC. And I'm really grateful that you're here with me. I'm really grateful that you allowed me to be the chair. And
I
kind
am
of
thrilled.
No, well, I'm going to be leaning on
And
you
thankful.
quite a bit.
I'm
So,
here. I'm
yes.
here. I'm not going anywhere. So
I mean, it's silly things like that. And we had a meeting today, a National Aging in Place council meeting today. It was hosted in Glen Cove at Glen Cove Rehabilitation Center, right?
yes, Glen Cove Center for Rehab and Nursing.
And it was a beautiful facility. And I would have never known about this place if I hadn't gone into the meeting, and it was really they have a specialized unit in pulmonary care and cardiac care, and it was really great. And I learned so much. She spoke, our host spoke. I learned so much just by being present at these meetings. But so in the room, I asked everybody what they were thankful for, what they do. And as you said earlier, it's not a networking. It's not a business networking thing. We're members because we truly want to help and be a resource for the communities. Yes, our careers are centered around it, but we could just go about, being who we are and just working every day and going home to your husband, your son, my wife, my daughters. But we give a little extra because we want to be that resource. You know what it was like to struggle to find resources.
Yes.
I do. But that was the common denominator in that room today, was that everybody truly cared and everybody was thankful for what they do. Because I asked them, and because Thanksgiving is tomorrow, what was everybody thankful for? And everybody was thankful for being a part of this amazing organization, for doing what they do, and for helping people every day. Vinny Giacalone, from the organized guy in the group. There's an organized guy in the group. A lot of times, mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, they have 50 years of clutter, and we have an organized guy. We have a guy that'll come to your house and organize your stuff and get
And
really
work with the
movers
to help you.
We're amazing.
Senior living guides who tell you which assisted living might be best and take you to them and charge you nothing. There's incredible resources.
So Vinny said that he was grateful that he never has to work a day in his life, and I feel like that. I tell everybody that. I'm like, and they're like, when you, I'm not. This is not work. I truly enjoy what I do, and I enjoy being a resource for seniors and for anybody aging, because we didn't have this resource. We didn't have this resource. Grandma didn't have a will. And part of this Golden Opportunities podcast is really just being a resource and getting those opportunities out there, that whether people know they exist, choose to ignore them, or don't even know that they exist. Because a lot of times we know we have to get a will. We have to get a healthcare proxy. I didn't know. What I learned from one of the estate planning attorneys in the group is that my daughter's away at college.
Yes.
She's an adult now. If something happened to her medically, they can't talk to me unless I have a power of attorney.
Right.
That was
Healthcare
scary.
proxy.
Healthcare proxy and a power of attorney.
Yeah.
So that was scary. So that was something we had to. But how many people that we know, or children, are away at college? Do they know that? I didn't know that. Everyone that I speak to doesn't know that. So these are all things. These are opportunities. And when I say opportunities, resources that we don't know about.
Right, and that's why our Speakers Bureau and our advocacy and our education that we offer out into the community is such a big thing. We go to libraries, we go to senior centers. We really go out there as much as we possibly can to let people understand that something like that, right? The simplest of things. What happens if you need a ramp? Can they be rented? Yes, they can. Can you rent a stair lift, or do you have to buy one? What are the costs involved? People don't realize how much is available to them, even in entitlements and dual eligibility benefits and things that they don't know they can get for free. Like somebody like Adam Flatow that's going to take you to assisted livings and say, all right, we're going to drive to this one today, that one tomorrow, and we'll see which one is best for you. It's an amazing thing.
And that source, he doesn't charge the people directly. He gets paid from whatever home or community he brings them to. He's contracted with all these different communities.
And there's several people out there that do this type of work. And
Adam Walsh, right? There's a
Adam
couple
Walsh
in the group,
from Oasis, Tracy Kaczynski from Senior Guide. It's just amazing.
And there's a lid for every pot,
right?
And we're just going to refer you, our members that are vetted, and then you get to choose which one you get to work with. I mean, there's so many elder planning attorneys, estate planning attorneys. There's multiple people in our group that wear the same hat, but like you said, you may want to deal with a woman or a man or a young man, or
the tone
somebody.
Of voice
the tone
is
of
good
voice,
for you, and the other one is
maybe
not.
somebody sounds monotone. Someone's a little more peppy with a little energy. There's a lid for every pot. I love that analogy.
Absolutely.
So that was the common denominator today, and I was really I really felt like touched that everybody had the kind of the same thing, and I was like, wow, this is really great, and we need to get our brand out there. And when I say our brand, the National Aging in Place Council, the NAIPC, it needs to become a household brand.
Absolutely.
So many events that you go to, but you and I have been to this year, people are like, National Aging in Place, what is this? Oh my, I have this issue with my mother. I'm at the weirdest places. Laura, come on. We were at a motorcycle show, right?
Yes.
At the AmFest, we were at a
The
motorcycle
AmFest.
show. And I was like, what are we doing? And in my mind, I'm saying, what are we doing here? But we had 30 people come over to us, 25, at least 24 people come over to us.
And they learned something.
And they learned something. And that's what we need to do. We need to just community outreach. And if you have a group, an organization, a bereavement group, place of worship, any place, if you know the director of a library, a VFW, anything, we would love to come and talk to your organization, your group. We bring in cookies, whatever the case may be. We will be there. We would love to be there. Invite us, and you could pick whatever topic you want to talk about, whether it's senior planning, senior living, Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, there's so many resources, and you could pick and choose, or we could do a panel.
Right. Our Thriving Along the Care Continuum panel is really a comprehensive overview of everything that you need to know within senior care, and just showing you from A to Z. You're 65, what are you thinking about? Your Medicare, and onward from there through the care continuum up to funeral pre-planning and legacy work. We have a legacy doula, an end-of-life doula who does legacy work. Each one of us, as we age, we rarely think about the importance of what we leave behind other than the funds, right? We think about our money and what we're going to do with it and where we're going to put it. But what about our voice being heard after we're gone, or that specialty letter or video or something really tangible that we can have live on for generations and generations?
I say that all the time, especially now with this age of technology. I still feel like there's a gap. I remember growing up, my grandmother had pictures on every wall in her house, family pictures, photos. She had photo albums. I mean, dozens of photo albums. And now we're capturing more of history, right? But it's trapped in a device. So it's not displayed. We don't get to visualize it and see it. And there's so much of life that's happening that we're documenting it, but is it being displayed and documented in the right way? Because there's so many stories that my grandmother shared, recipes that my grandmother cooked, that I said, oh, I wish I knew how to make that like Nanny. I wish I could make grandma's meatloaf or stuffing. And I mean, thank goodness. I mean, my mom is still with us, my aunt, and I get those little recipes from them. But just even hearing her voice,
Right.
so there's so much that we still need to do, and there's a resource for that. There really is. There's a resource for documenting somebody's voice.
Absolutely, it's amazing. Susan Caperso, our end-of-life doula, is phenomenal. The things that she can help people to do when they're grieving, when they're planning for, with a bad diagnosis. It's just these little things that can make our lives so much better that this group can bring to people. It's almost mind-blowing sometimes when I think about where I first started in my journey of being a caregiver and knowing nothing, and looking around the room when we're at our meetings and seeing how many of the people in the group are caregivers and have been there and had tried to struggle taking care of their own loved ones. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the heart. When you've been a caregiver, when you know that struggle, when you pick up that phone, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if the dog's barking, the kids are screaming, the food's burning. That person on the phone in crisis takes the precedence because you were that person at one time. And that's something that you can't buy. And I love that we are that for so many families.
We need to be that for more families.
True.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And we really need to get the word out there. So to our listeners, please get the word out there about the NAIPC. It's an invaluable tool that you need to have in your toolbox because we are like the Swiss Army knife of aging senior care.
That's a good one.
Right? I think
that.
we're more. It's like there's a lot more things than the Swiss Army knife, but it was just we're your mechanic's toolbox, all right, of aging, and we're your resource. So if you live in a 65 and older community or 55 and older community, and you have a community room, a senior center, and you want us to come in, we could do a presentation for you and answer any questions, even if it's just a casual coffee talk. We could definitely do that. And that's really, I just wanted to just get you here to talk about the NAIPC. So what do you do in your free time? Like, what's your real job? How do you pay the bills?
My real job is Amber Court Assisted Living. I'm the Long Island Regional Director of Outreach. And we are a more affordable assisted living option, which is another great resource. People don't realize that Medicaid can cover the care, not only for home care through community Medicaid, but for assisted living. So there's several assisted livings on Long Island. Amber Court happens to have 3 of them, and then we also have communities in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Palisades, and Elizabeth, New Jersey. So
I didn't know that until I met you. Until I got involved with the NAIPC and I met you, that Medicaid can pay for a portion of
the care. Yeah. So Medicaid gives us a base rate this year. It's $1,388 a month that someone might pay for room and board. Their Social Security will usually cover that. There's ways that we can help them if their Social Security is not quite up to that. We can work with them and help them to be able to afford 3 meals, 2 snacks, activities, linens, laundry, housekeeping. I always say, I'm going to sign up. And in a beautiful environment where they're getting activity and socialization all day.
Mental stimulation.
Yeah. And you always hear everybody wants to age at home. And to me, an assisted living is a home, but it's a home where you have friends and fun and things happening. Some people are not for that, right? Like I have a mom who's 72 and she's unnerved if she's in a room with me, you, and one other person. That's too much. So she might not be. She's going to be a home care person. She's going to stay home by herself. That's too much for her. But the average person who enjoys sitting at a table with friends and dining and enjoy a conversation and doing arts and crafts, maybe playing bingo, having a music entertaining act come in, that's happening every day in our communities, and it's so beautiful that somebody can do that for less than what it costs to get a 1-bedroom apartment. That doesn't include anything.
It doesn't include anything. And I've been to your communities, and they're really lovely. They
Thank
really
you.
are.
They are.
And
They're
there's a lot of
beautiful.
activity, and everybody's always smiling. Not just the employees, but the residents. They're smiling.
Yeah.
They're laughing. You've hosted a couple of parties there, and I've got to meet some of the residents, and it's really a great place. But when you think about it, for less than the rent of a one-bedroom apartment, you could have all of those services.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
I know. We have communities on Long Island in Westbury, Smithtown, and Ronkonkoma. And Medicaid can cover the care in all three of those communities. We have physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech on site. We have nursing on site. We have doctors on site. You can't, for $1,388 a month as a starting price for a shared, it's incredible.
It's really great because so many people feel, and I'm glad we're talking about this because so many people hear assisted living, and they see $10,000 a month, $7,000 a month, $12,000 a month, whether they're imagining it. Because when I hear assisted living, before I got involved, I would think, oh my God, who could afford that? It's $10,000. But now there's this amazingly affordable option, and Medicaid will help pay for it.
Absolutely.
Just touch on Medicaid.
So many people feel, oh, I can't get Medicaid. I have
you
money.
read my mind.
Medicaid,
I was
I have
just going
too
to
much
say that.
income.
Yeah.
And nothing could be farther from the truth. I have people that have Medicaid with $7,000 a month in income. They can qualify. It's about what you can spend and what your bills are in a month, right? So if somebody has $6,000 a month in income, they can utilize a pooled income trust, which is a tool. It's a tool. It's not
available in every state.
No, it's New York State. I'm just about to say that. It's a tool in New York State that allows somebody to be able to become Medicaid eligible. So if your income is $5,000 a month, the state says you're allowed this year, I know it's changing January, $1,732 a month. So they have that amount today is what they're allowed. Everything over that can go into a pool, like a pool you jump into, or pooling things together, POOL, income trust. And it's a charitable trust. There's a lot of guidelines of what you're allowed to spend it on, but you can spend it on room and board. So if you wanted, instead of a shared room, you want a private room. If you needed in our Westbury community, we have a memory care, and that's more of a cost. Anywhere that you go, it's definitely more expensive, but it's still affordable at $5,000 a month for a share, and Medicaid covering all of the care in our Westbury community,
it's a no-brainer.
and soon to be in our Ronkonkoma community. We're opening a memory care there as well.
No pun intended when I say.
Oh no, that's a good one. So, just thinking about that, you can do that. Medicaid is attainable. There's elder law attorneys within National Aging and Place
Call the National Aging and Place Council.
There's there's Medicaid planners. If you don't have a lot of things to move around and you just want to get the application done, and it's a little less expensive going through a Medicaid planner, we have those resources. There are free resources. There are the Department of Social Services for certain people with certain income brackets will do those applications without charge. It typically takes a little longer, but we can walk you through each step of how to get it done based on your situation.
And we're a resource, and we could give you all of those people to do it because, I would hear stories every day. One, I'm not eligible for Medicaid. There's no way. It's impossible. I make too much money. I own my home. There's so many stories that people say why they can't afford. And then you hear these crazy stories. We're spending all of mom's money so that she's eligible for Medicaid.
I'm like, stop. We're
money. We're spending it all. I'm like, you don't have to. You don't.
They don't realize that they can protect those assets.
It's crazy.
Spending
$1 million, like we just spent. No, it doesn't have. Still look back. I'm like, you can't.
There's irrevocable trusts. You can do funeral pre-plans to help. There's so many different tools that are available, and people don't realize. They say, I have to spend. I had somebody tell me the other day, well, my brother has $20,000. I have to spend all that first. Nope. No, he's allowed to have 30, first of all, in New York State. But you don't have to spend any of it. Just keep that right where it is.
Exactly.
And, silly little things that almost to you or I, being doing this for so long, we take it for granted that people know. And then every time you pick up the phone and you educate, you're like, wow, I need to do more
Silliest
education.
things, like I'll have a conversation and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, well, call us. Call the NAIPC. We'll help you figure it out.
Or email at
or
Long
email us.
Island
Bobby,
NY.
could you do me a favor? We're going to tell.
We're going to put it up
Yeah,
there.
Bobby,
I love
could you
it.
throw the website and the phone number up for us so that this way here, our listeners and watchers could throw it, and say it for our listeners because this is audio also.
Long Island NY at ageandplace.org is our email address. And the phone number will be up on the screen. But definitely
For
you
our
can
listeners,
email.
what's the phone number? You don't know? You don't
Offhand,
memorize?
I
No?
don't.
Okay.
I do not. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I answer the phone.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that because I don't know it either.
I answer it. I don't call it. But if it'll be up on the screen, that's
Please.
great.
Okay, great. So yes, there are so many resources, and you could even own a home and be on Medicaid.
Absolutely.
I mean, community Medicaid. I mean, there's different levels
the
of Medicaid.
look back. That's like people are afraid of the look back. Well, right now in New York State, there has been a passed law for 2.5-year look back for community Medicaid, but they have not started it yet. So
enforcing it,
if they're not enforcing it right now, you can absolutely go and get your Medicaid without that look back. They ask for 3 months bank statements before they enforce that 2.5-year look back. So if you're considering getting onto Medicaid, now is the time to reach out. And we do have some really good people within National Aging in Place Council who can help with that.
Whether it's an attorney or a Medicaid planner,
Yes.
there's endless resources, really.
We are triage.
Yes.
I mean, that's how I look at it, right? People come to us with their emergency, their crisis. We listen. We take down notes of everything they're saying, and then we triage the problem, send them the solutions, and they can select from all of the options and solutions that are available.
And we love what we do. We really love what we do. But our goal is to get there before the fire starts.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be firefighters. We want to be
Preventers.
We want to be like Smokey the Bear. All right, we want to be like the
Absolutely,
Smokey the Bear of aging in place, because we just want to be a resource. We want people to know about us, and we want people to call us before there's an issue. We want to educate people.
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't mind putting out fires. We really don't. That's why we're here. But we'd like to get to you before the fire starts. We would like to be the fire preventers. We want to be the information spreaders. We want people to come to us for information and knowledge and learn how to plan and prepare before the crisis and prepare before the crisis. So, that's it. That's our show today. Thank you so much, Laura, for coming on board.
having
I love
me.
it. I love talking about DNA. It's my passion. Like, we could talk about it all the time.
Absolutely.
And
There's
I
so
love
much to say.
what you do at Amber Court. I love the philosophy of Amber Court and being there even for the Medicaid beneficiaries. And I love that option, that there is an option for people. It's an affordable option.
Yes,
It really is, because there's
absolutely.
so many communities on Long Island that do not accept Medicaid, and you are one of the only ones that do, and you have 3 locations, right?
Absolutely. On Long Island, yes.
3 locations on Long Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really just about, there are choices out there, there are options out there. We're not the right place for everybody. And there's people who love Bristol and Atria and the Arbors.
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Yeah, I mean, there's
Plainview
so
residents.
Many, exactly. There's so many good options out there, and it's really about listening, seeing what your particular situation is, not only financially. Financially is part of it, but the whole picture of the type of environment that someone's going to be the most comfortable, where they're going to be their best selves and live their best life. And we'll help you get there.
Definitely. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching our show. Please like, subscribe, share. Really, it's an informational resource for anybody. It doesn't. We're stuck in the sandwich generation now, and we are a resource for that sandwich generation, for our seniors, for our young people. Plan, prepare. That's why we're here. Golden opportunities. We love showing you those opportunities. Again, I'm your host, James Donnelly, founder of Safe Haven Insurance, your Medicare and health insurance safe place. You could call me 631-608-1137. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. Have a great day.